Where are the Bruins going though? Like, I guess I'm curious. Like, this is not a rebuild. Are they
No.
in retool mode? Like,
Yeah,
there's
well,
still
that's
pieces there, but you got rid of a lot.
we keep hearing retool here in Boston. You can't rebuild when you have David Pastrnak, Charlie McAvoy, Hampus Lindholm, Jeremy Swayman all making $9 million, $10 million, $13 million a year. Like that's not an NHL rebuild. You don't do that in Original Six. You don't do that in the Bruins market. So no, they're expecting to turn this thing around and make the playoffs. Now, there's a lot of holes to fill. So are they doing that with trades? Are they doing that with free agency? I think that having Sturmy in place, sets the table for all of that, but they've got a lot of work to do here first. But it's not a tear it down to the studs. This is we better make the playoffs again next year.
Welcome back to another edition of the Clearing the Crease podcast, powered by BODOG. We're your line mates, Kami, Razor, Seaball, ready to get at it as we are right in the thick of things right now in the Stanley Cup final. And Razor, I mean, we talked about this. We've been seeing this path coming for weeks. And so far through 2 games as we record this is living up to the hype.
It is, and I had huge expectations for this series, and they've already outlived it. And I know last week we talked about overtime. We're going to get some. Well, we got overtime, and we got a lot of it in the first 2 games right out of the gates. Just instant classics, and it's all the guys you want involved in it. It's just they split in Edmonton. You have a feeling it splits in Florida. It's going to go 6-7. Like, this is as good as we could have got, the good as the NHL could have got, the star power, the guys showing up. It's, it lived up to the hype the first 2 games. It's crazy how good this hockey is.
Kami, it's a blast. Tell me this, as a guy who's gone on a couple of deep runs from your playing days, overtime in game 1, double OT in game 2. What's it like playing in overtime, in a Stanley Cup playoff series? Like, do you feel the nerves, or do they go away at some point and you're just playing? Like, what's that like?
Yeah, I would say this actually came up last night. I was hanging out with Ray Whitney. He's got a golf trip, bunch of guys, Todd Simpson, a few guys are here. And somebody asked, what, and you know what, like nerves, as far as like the nerves you're touching on or whatever, like from what I remember being like nervous, like before the game. Or maybe the night before, I'd be like a little bit nervous, but then once the game started, good to go, whether there was overtime or not. And I mean, obviously, once it gets to overtime, and make sure I get that puck right nice off the glass, and I would perfect, just get it out and get off the ice for my game. But I think the games, as I was going to ask you guys, but I already know what you're going to say, but I think those first 2 games were incredible.
Yeah,
and especially I missed the first period last night, but I watched the rest of it. I think the game, it's been physical. I think, referees never get like a shout out. Anytime we talk about the refs, usually we're bitching about them. And there's missed calls, whatever. I mean, there's missed calls literally every single game. But I think the refereeing has been incredible. I think they've let the guys play. I was sitting there last night watching.
But in a good way, right? But in a good way.
Oh,
not like Wild West or anything like that. Yeah.
No, in a good way. Like, let the guys play. But yeah, if there's something like egregious, then call it or whatever. I think they've been great. I was sitting there last night. This to me is how hockey should be played. Now, obviously, you can't play like that for 82 games. You're going to make it to like game 40 maybe, and then you'll be done. But I think it's been excellent. I've really enjoyed watching. I think it's been high level on both teams have been great, I think.
Razor, what about for you from an overtime standpoint? Like, from your experience as a goalie, can you relax? Like, what's that? Yeah.
No, you're into it. It's the same idea. You get nervous at the start, but by the time overtime comes around, you can't really screw up that bad. Like, you feel, if you've gotten to overtime, you feel good, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
You're nervous about being Jake Ottinger as a goaltender. Like, you don't want to get yanked in game 7, giving up 2 goals on 2 shots in the first 5 minutes. But once you get past that, like, I know Bob's not giving up a goal from center ice in double overtime. Like, you're just not screwing up at that point. You might get scored on, but you're going to be bad. Like, it's awesome. And it's fun. And of course, you're dejected when you lose in overtime. I'm 2-0 in Stanley Cup playoffs overtime. So I actually didn't lose I won in double overtime.
You don't know the feeling that a loser.
No, I never got crushed by an overtime.
Montreal?
Montreal, we won game 2 in overtime at home, and then game 4 in double overtime in Montreal.
Very nice.
So, but yeah, no nerves. Like, at that point, again, I was always nervous about screwing up the game at the start. But if I get to overtime, it's like, all right, I'm probably not going to be the one to screw it up. It'll be someone else. But the games are so good. I like, on top of everything else, like 5-4, 4-3. Like, to your point, Kami, this is as good as it gets. Like, those are the perfect scores for these games. The perfect amount of whistles. They're up and down the ice. Like, the second period in game 1, I don't think there was a whistle for 15 minutes. It's like the guys are so good. It's world class. It's awesome.
That's like watching like the reminder how good Florida is, right? You see Edmonton out there buzzing around. We've just watched like some of the most incredible plays from Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl over the last, games 1 and 2, and it's a 1-1 series, right? Like, Connor McDavid probably just pulled off the greatest assist in the history of the Stanley Cup Finals, right? Breaking Barkov's ankles, deking Ekblad out of his jockstrap before finding a wide open Draisaitl. And you know what? There's the Panthers still pulling it out at the end, right? Like, that is the makeup of a champion, Kami.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Yeah, Barkov was eating a few minuses there last. I mean, he's an excellent player. Don't get me wrong. It happens. You're playing against Connor McDavid. I mean, that's not an easy task. But yeah, I mean, I thought even, when they pulled the goalie there and I'm watching and I'm like, I think Edmonton might tie this. And sure enough, with 17 seconds, Corey Perry, there he is again, chipping one in. I don't even know how he got the shot off, really. Thing goes in, overtime. I thought Edmonton, once that went in, I'm like, okay, Edmonton has a chance. Like, if I had to pick, I would have picked Edmonton after that. But then once it got through the first overtime, I'm like, all right, here we go. This is starting to feel a little Florida-ish. And then Marchand does what he does. And basically, it was kind of like, I know the first one was shorthanded, but it was basically kind of the same kind of play, right? To get the breakaway, it's kind of sort of below the zone a little bit, like a little D, and then gone.
The ultimate Brad Marchand night. The shorthanded 5-hole, and then blowing the zone in overtime. All right, somehow he reads that's the right play, because he could have been ridiculous out there. If he's on the Draisaitl's chasing him down, Draisaitl gets his stick all over it, and somehow Brad loses control 5 times, but gets a stick on it right at the last second. Like, he's a Hall of Famer. And you could draw 90 of those goals that he's got, where the puck just ends up on his stick at the last second. He pokes it in, and he's the hero. His compete is Connor McDavid-esque. Like, that's what his compete level is. He comes out with a puck every single time. He's 37 years old. You talk about Perry's the same way. He's the worm. He's the rat. And these guys are showing that this league's all about compete and battle and will, and no one has a higher level of that than Brad Marchand. And he's literally one of the best players on the ice right now. And that's quite the statement when we're talking about all the other players there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, what he's been able to do. Tell me this though. He goes 5-hole for both goals, right? I mean, the second one's maybe a little bit of a whack on Draisaitl stick, but if you're Stuart Skinner, how do you assess those, Razor?
Yeah, well, the double overtime is just such a broken play, and the puck's bobbling, and you got to get to your post, and somehow it squeezes through you. I think if Brad goes on the, now the problem with those 5-0 goals, now Brad's kind of got him, where you have to protect that on the next breakaway he gets. I'm assuming he's going to get one, because he's blowing the zone all the time.
He's getting another one.
He's just
we called them cherry pickers back in the day, right?
For sure. And nothing worse than a good cherry picker. Like, it's fun with the bad cherry pickers. You get, but a good cherry picker, there's nothing worse, because they just make you pay. And so now it's like, he's opened him up for the fake shot backhand. He's opened him up for the low blocker. Like, it does get in your head a little bit now that you've given up 2 of those, when he sees another one as a goaltender.
Kami, I don't know if you caught this at the end of game 2, but that second Marchand breakaway. I know the scout cam typically focuses on Darnell Nurse, but did you see Evan Bouchard just go on cruise control on that second breakaway by the time he hit the blue line?
Captain I
was
watching. I was sitting in a chair and I watched from the start of the second period to the end of the game. I watched every shift. Captain Casual popped out quickly.
Captain Casual was there, large and in charge.
I noticed that too. Oh, really?
And I wonder, and I do wonder if maybe you let up because Draisaitl's closing that gap or tightening up, getting there before Bouchard. But yeah, he basically was water skiing by the time he got to the blue line.
That Bouchard puts up points, and he is excellent with the play. Like, don't get me wrong, he is a good player. There's no question. But I can't believe I missed that because usually I'm looking for that. But yeah, every once in a while he does something where you're just like, what was that?
I'm gonna go for a smoke break right about now.
Yeah, keep that heart rate down.
I'm gonna go hack a dart here. You got this, all right, you guys. Nevertheless, I mean, what a series it's been.
It's been great.
One game apiece, and it's been fantastic. And the stars coming out to play. Brad Marchand, future Hall of Famer. What a story he is in game 2. Obviously, McDavid and Draisaitl have been incredible. And you know what? At some point, we can look at this as the series goes on. But, you know, you can start looking on both sides, like how many Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers we're going to be looking at in this roster, in this series. Let's go around the rest of the NHL for a little bit. Some other news and notes. Well, we talked about Kami. I think you introduced the term "pack your shit, Pete," which actually came to fruition as Pete DeBoer is out in Dallas.
Listen, I'm impressed because I didn't have nearly as much conviction as you guys. Like, I thought he screwed up, but I was like, it's Pete DeBoer. He wins every game 7. Not quite the same conviction as you did, but you nailed it because it is pack your shit time for Pete, and don't mess around with the 8-year, $8 million goaltender, I guess, is the lesson here.
Yeah, when I listened and I saw the quotes and I heard it, I was like, uh-oh. I'm like, well, Pete packed his shit and Pete's out of Dallas. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously he's a great coach. I heard he's a great guy. Like, I don't know him. I met him once or whatever, but it just, when you like we touched on last time, like I don't think anything good comes from throwing somebody under the bus, so to speak, when there's no games left to play. And that's the kind of your year-end presser. And then I saw a quote come, I'm buddies with Tom, and I saw a quote, well, there's nobody. And I read that. I'm like, okay, Tom, but I still think there might be something there. And my total guess is, Jim Nill, who knows what he's doing. And I'm sure he had some meetings and got kind of a feel of the room, so to speak. And Pete's moving on to his next destination. But yeah, it's, I just don't, maybe he was done there. Like, maybe he had a little, I don't know. I don't think that was planned. I think he just kind of, there was, it's high stress and they lost again. And like, I get it. He's stressed out a little bit, but yeah, you just can't, if you want to keep your job, I have a hard time. You can't be burying, let alone your star goaltender, but you can't really be burying guys with no games left to play, in my opinion.
How about this stat here, guys? So DeBoer has been to the conference final 6 of the last 7 seasons.
Is that what it is?
6 of the last 7 seasons.
I knew it was a lot. I didn't know it was 6 or 7.
He's been to the Final 4, and yet this is the 3rd time he's been fired in the last 5.5 years.
That's
crazy.
Right?
That's crazy.
Yeah,
like that is crazy. Wild. And yet we're all sitting here kind of justifying it because it does make sense, right? Like, you don't throw somebody you've committed 8 years to, like the ink might still be dry on that or still drying on that contract right now, and you told him, all right, pack your ish.
Yeah, pack your Pete. He'll get another job though if he wants it. He'll be fine
tomorrow.
I mean, it's remarkable the run that he's had and the teams that he's taken to the Stanley Cup, and it's usually that first year he goes to the Cup, and then it's all downhill from there. Marco Sturm is the new head coach in Boston. Razor, I mean, you are one of the all-time Bruins greats here, especially at alumni games. You also played with Marco, so give me your sense. Why is Marco Sturm the right fit in Boston?
I think he's the right fit because he's a younger guy. He relates. He's put his time in, and he's a former player. I think it kind of checks all the boxes. He's been in an organization in LA for 6 years now, 4 years assistant coach in the NHL, 2 years head coach in the AHL, and obviously the LA Kings are a defensive-minded team first. Very similar to how the Bruins have been built for the last 15 years as well. So I think they want to get back to that. The Boston Bruins do. I think they want to get back to defense first, and they want to have a younger guy add some offense to that. And then just the fact that, again, his career that he's had over 900 games, it just gives him instant credibility, which is so important. We're just talking about Pete DeBoer. You can't lose that credibility. And you can't hire a guy that doesn't have credibility in one way or another, and that's what Sturmy does. And I think
where are the Bruins going though? Like, I guess I'm curious. Like, this is not a rebuild.
No,
are they in retool mode? Like,
yeah. Well, that's
pieces there, but you got rid of a lot.
We keep hearing retool here in Boston. You can't rebuild when you have David Pastrnak, Charlie McAvoy, Hampus Lindholm, Jeremy Swayman all making $9 million, $10 million, $13 million a year. Like, that's not an NHL rebuild. You don't do that in an original six. You don't do that in the Bruins market. So no, they're expecting to turn this thing around and make the playoffs. Now, there's a lot of holes to fill. So are they doing that with trades? Are they doing that with free agency? I think that having Sturmy in place, sets the table for all of that, but they've got a lot of work to do here first. But it's not a tear it down to the studs. This is we better make the playoffs again next year.
So there's an expectation for Sturm to kind of deliver playoff results here.
Yeah, the clock's ticking already on Sturmy, for sure, right? NHL coaches, as soon as you got hired, now you're ready to get fired. So yeah, the clock's ticking literally instantly on him, and he doesn't even have a roster yet.
Kami, can we just point out that the Stars also waited like a week after the dust to settle on this dismissal of Pete DeBoer for like two other teams to, fill their coaching vacancies. Like, basically all the coaching vacancies get filled. Now we're going to fire. I don't know if that's an extra FU out of Dallas there, but
the timing is interesting for sure. They definitely took their time with it, which I do kind of get. I'm thinking, look, I'm not in the coaching market, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know who's out there, but I would think it kind of gets the feeling to me. I think the Texas Stars are in the Calder Cup finals. I think they're still playing for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure who's coaching there, but to me, it kind of feels like, and I don't think they fired any of the assistants or anything yet, at least. So to me, it kind of feels like it might be the Texas guy coming up, whoever that is. I should know that. I should look that up.
I know too, the guy, the assistant in Dallas, not Spot. Obviously, that's DeBoer's guy. He's gone. He goes wherever Pete goes. But the Donskov was up for a lot of jobs. And that could be the internal move as well. So to your point, Kami, it does feel internal in Dallas. Like Jim had his eye on somebody if this goes haywire like it did.
I got one thing to say. My last thing, they better not hire Babs. That's all I gotta say. If I see Mike Babcock's name come up, I'm gonna lose it.
It's old Jamie Benn.
That's good point.
Yeah. I couldn't help but think last night as we were just kind of prepping for this show. I was like, I wonder if I should ask Kami if Babs is a consideration.
Yeah, he brought it up for you.
Oh God,
it's already on his mind.
$8 million. Get yourself canned before camp. Thanks for
dude's living rent free. Yeah, exactly. Let's take a quick pause, and we'll be right back with "Don't Puck It Up" next, right here on the Clearing the Crease podcast, powered by BODOG. Home stretch of this week's edition of the Clearing the Crease podcast, powered by BODOG. Kami, Razor, Seaball. Time for Don't Puck It Up. Kami, who better not puck it up this week?
You know what? I'm going to keep it simple this week. Not a lot going on other than the finals with the two teams. I am going to go with, we touched on it earlier, but don't puck it up, Florida and Edmonton. The first two games have been spectacular. I've been thorough. I've enjoyed every moment of watching it. I'm looking forward to the next game. So I'm just going to keep it simple. Don't puck this up. Keep it going. Keep these physical, tight, good games going to make it a great final.
I like it. It seems very simple, seems very effective, and it makes sense. Like, nobody needs to screw this up. We got a good thing going here. Let's take it right to 7 games. I'm with you. My don't puck it up this weekend is looking at the National Hockey League and the National Hockey League Players Association. There is no announcement yet with a new CBA. I think there were a lot of fingers crossed, and there was some optimism that Gary Bettman at his annual State of the Union during the Cup final, he'd have something to announce, but nothing yet. There is encouraging dialogue, but until there's a deal, there's no deal. And look, don't puck this up, right? I mean, the game is in great shape right now. Yes, we can nitpick about, tax-free states and whatnot, but look, the cap is skyrocketing. You got new television deals bringing in billions upon billions of dollars. You just had a fantastic concept that was a huge hit with the Four Nations face-off. You got great starts for a couple of expansion franchises. The Olympics are going back. We got another fantastic Stanley Cup final. And after 3 lockouts in an 18-year span that you guys were both part of for a few of those, we've now had labor fees for 13 years. Yeah, it cost you guys money, cost you guys games. So look, keep the good times going. NHLPA, NHL, don't puck it up.
I like that, Seaball.
That's it, Seaball. To get these guys back in the room. Get it done before the summer so we can all rest easy.
Thank you.
NHL Combine this week. These kids are gearing up for the dreaded VO2 test and the dreaded pull-ups in front of all the executives in the NHL. So hopefully they all did their workouts. Oh, nothing worse than that stupid combine. But the NHL draft is gone off location. Seems like there's a lot of talk that they're going to go back on location, but don't puck it up. Make this a draft. Make this an event. The NHL draft, should everyone be together? Everybody gets jobs, free agency. Put everybody back in the same building, the same room. Let the kids have a great experience that they've been watching on TV forever. So unfortunately, they pucked it up already going off-site, but don't puck it up by putting this thing back on the map and moving it around the league. It's a great event. Costs some money, makes logistics difficult at that time of year, but it's all worth it to have a great draft. So don't puck it up. Put the NHL draft back on the map.
I like that. And you're right. It is big for the kids. Everybody remembers if you're fortunate enough to get drafted and whatever in the first, whatever, it doesn't matter. And if you're there, it's something you never forget for sure. So the fact that's a great call. The fact that it's not happening, that sucks for this year's class.
It does.
Did you guys, okay, 2 things. Did you guys attend your draft?
I did. Yep.
I did too. Yeah. I sat there for 5 rounds. It might not have been the best idea for everybody. Like 4 hours long, but I made it. And to Tommy's point, even though I waited 4 hours and my family was probably ready to strangle me, especially my sister, once you hear your name, it completely all washes away. It's the greatest thing ever, and you have those pictures and memories forever.
So did your heart pounding the whole time as you're waiting?
No, I knew I wasn't going for a while, but I did have, like, when I was picked, like, I knew that Bruins slot was mine, and if it didn't go my way, that would have been a big problem. Probably
you knew Boston was going to be the one.
I had some inclination and talked to them the most interest, and that 5 was that 5th round spot was kind of mine to if not, it would have been downhill.
Kami, where about you? Where were you? Were you in the nosebleeds or you were there? Like,
no, it was actually in Boston. I wasn't going to go, long story short, I wasn't going to go to the draft. The draft's in Boston. I'm in North Dakota. My parents are in Edmonton. We're not swimming in cash. So the plan, I wasn't going to go. Went to the combine, did New Jersey's workout. They had a separate one. I did that. And then after, one of their scouts came up, and he's like, "Oh, well, when are you getting to the draft?" I'm like, I go, "You know what? I don't think I'm going." He's like, "What?" I go, "No, I don't think I'm going. Like, it's a long ways. I got to work. Like, I had to paint dorm room walls in North Dakota for $5 an hour. American though. Back then, that was a big deal."
Good money,
and he right there. He goes, "Oh, no." He goes, "You need to go to the draft." I was like, "Really?" He goes, "You should go to the draft." I'm like, "Okay." And so I called my parents. I'm like, I think we should probably go. New Jersey just told me I better be there. So I kind of knew a little bit. And New Jersey had a late pick in the first round. I didn't think I was going in. I knew New Jersey liked me and I knew Washington liked me. First round came. New Jersey went with a goalie, like 27th or 28th overall. And then Washington had 4 picks at the beginning of the second round. And I thought Washington liked me too. They took, I think, 1 forward and 3 defensemen. None of them were me. And then the next up was New Jersey. And then after that, kind of same, I was like, if I don't go here, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I was fine. My dad was nervous. Like with every pick that went by, he was like, we shouldn't have been here. What are we doing here? This and that. I'm like, hey, relax. I'm like, it's going to be fine. And then New Jersey with their second pick took me, and it was fun. It was a great experience. I'm really, like I said, I don't remember a whole lot, but I do remember that experience. It was awesome.
So you know how Shedeur Sanders feels now.
Well, a little bit, yeah. I mean, I didn't quite slide like that, but yeah, I guess.
Who was that? Do you remember who that was from New Jersey that kind of gave you the like, hey, you should go?
You know what?
Obviously, that made a difference.
Well, that made a huge difference. If he doesn't tell me, I don't go to the draft.
Yeah.
And that was the last thing I did. Like I had no more interviews. I was leaving Toronto. Like that was it. I wasn't going to go. I think it was David Conti.
Yeah.
Like,
he was a legend guy. He was there. Yeah. He was
legendary guy. Yeah. Like he was kind of in charge of, scout. I think he was literally the director of scouting. But
he was Lou's right hand man who built a lot of,
He was Lou's boy for a long, long time. And he had a good track record, like found a lot of players. And if it wasn't for him, I would not have been there. Boston was fun though. I remember sitting there. I'd never been to Boston before. And I was sitting 99 was like the like all the bunch of Euros went in the first round and half the first round didn't play. And anyways, I was sitting behind some Russian, and the Bruins, I think it was a first round pick. So the Bruins were picking, and all of a sudden to the right of us, we were in the lower bowl, but to the right of us was a bunch of Bruins fans, and a bunch of them started yelling at me like, "We want you, I'm like, Commodore or whatever. And I look over, my dad's like, you know those guys? I go, I've never been here before. I have no idea. And they ended up taking we just talked about him earlier off there. They took Nick Boynton. So but yeah, I remember that too, because it like shocked me. I was like, oh yeah, they're like, yeah, we love you, Commodore. I'm like, holy shit, this Boston place is great. They like white.
Well, no kidding, kids. Boston's great. I mean, they ran Razor out of town 20 years ago, and he's still in Boston, right? So obviously, it's got to be a fun town there, Raycroft.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's great.
Did you guys have to do the VO2 test?
The Wingate was that where they dropped the hammer 30 seconds. That sucked, especially for my skinny legs. Kami probably belted that out pretty good.
I think I was okay at that. I don't remember a whole lot from the actual NHL one. The one test I do remember was jerseys. They had basically it was a stress test. Get on the treadmill every 2 minutes, I think it was. Speed picks up and the incline goes up. So for the first like 6 minutes, it's like not a big deal. Like you're walking for the first 4 pretty much. Then there's kind of the awkward kind of stage where you can't really run, but it's too fast to walk. But then it goes from like, you're like doing okay. And then when it gets hard, like it's hard like that. And basically the test I found out after, you're hooked up, heart rate and everything. Basically all they cared about, they didn't really care how long you went.
Just how hard you pushed.
Yeah. It was like they could tell, okay, he's at his max heart rate. Like how long is this guy going to hang in there? And the longer you hung in there, the more impressed they were. So
those are all mental tests. They're actually not physical tests. They're all testing everybody's will to push it.
Yeah. 100%.
All right. Well, I think we pushed this week's episode to the limit, so we'll bring it home. And we will be back next week with another edition of the Clearing the Crease podcast, powered by BODOG. See you.